The biggest challenge for optimising the digital infrastructure in the NHS, I suppose, are twofold. We have to be able to identify the data that is useful and then to be able to extract the information from that for the particular use. The next challenge, I think, is standardising how we gather the data and how we actually then transfer the data.
ATMPs require post-launch evidence generation because of the fact that they're very often a single application. So you have a high-value product that comes to market with a relatively small data set.
ATMPs are just a step up in terms of complexity for most of the therapies that we give.
The current infrastructure in healthcare systems is clearly designed to follow up individual patients. Where registries have been created, they're usually very paper-based. But as these kind of therapies start to come into routine clinical practice and scale up and scale out to many more patients, that will become very unwieldy.
A lot of systems out there are not intuitively designed. They're not designed by users. They're clunky and old-fashioned. They're difficult to use, and we know that large parts of those systems, the data is just not filled in.
We need to find ways of bringing outcome data out of the routine patient records.
Essentially, we're identifying the roadblocks to accessing data and the use of that data within the manufacturing process and also within the treatment processes, so the follow-up of patients, and then further down the road how they respond in the long-term health economic benefit of that treatment.
We also need to make sure with advanced therapies that we're collecting the data more consistently.
We've had some really good discussions today about what systems are already in place. But I think there's probably a fragmentation of some fantastic data sources in the country, and we need to start linking them up in order to be more successful and to bring greater patient access to these revolutionary treatments.
I think it's going to have to become a much more collaborative process, both from an NHS and from manufacturers and from the pharmaceutical industry in general.
I think the positive things are there's a lot of discussion about where we need to be with these kind of events.
Today we explored 3 scenarios: to use existing disease-specific registries where available, creating a new standalone infrastructure for data collection, and the third option was create the information system that can provide linkage between different data sets in order to address data gaps in individual data sets. All stakeholders agreed that the third option is the most favourable.
I think that the best approach is to try and join together all the valuable data sources there are within the NHS system and make that accessible to both industry and patients and clinicians and the healthcare system.
What we need to do is use the NHS and use their systems and use their infrastructures to actually gather that data, to set the standards, to work together, but in a safe and compliant way.